Good evening. There are those who think that Samsung phones ship with more bloatware than others, but given some research, I've found that not exactly to be the case, and I'll tell you why. A watcher named PepW_ said that there are more companies making Android phones than Samsung, like OnePlus, Nokia, and Huawei. Samsung has a lot of bloatware, like double as many apps as Google in their phones. So I was like, okay, let's look into that a little bit. All these comparisons are being made with phones that are unlocked, because I figured that'd be the most fair comparison, because the carriers require Android phones to put certain apps on them that come from the carrier and not from the manufacturer. So Google Pixel phones come with these apps: calculator, calendar, camera, Chrome, clock, contacts, Gmail, gallery, messages, phone, settings, and Play Store. Samsung phones also come with calculator, calendar, camera, internet, clock, contacts, email, photos, messages, phone, settings, Galaxy apps, secure folder, My Files, Smart Switch, Home Launcher, BeamtUp, Smart Things, Gear, Health, Notes, Pay, and Samsung Plus. And Facebook. Those are the ones that Samsung those are the ones that come from Samsung and are made by Samsung besides Facebook. The other ones that come on the Samsung phones are Duo, Chrome, Drive, Google, Maps, Photos, Play Movies, Play Music, Play Store, Gmail, YouTube, and Voice Search. Now, the unlocked Google phones, or the Pixels, come with about 12 apps total on them. The Samsung unlocked phones, they come with 34 apps. So, yeah, on first glance, there are more apps on the Samsung phone to start out with. But let me tell you this, out of those 34 apps there are 15 that you can uninstall and get rid of. And out of the ones that you can't get rid of, there are 5 that you can disable and keep from running. They still take up a little bit of storage space, but they don't take up other system resources. There are only 14 apps installed by Samsung that you can't do anything about. And there are 12 apps on the Pixel phones that come with it by default. So there's really not a whole hell of a lot of difference. There are also 8 apps that are made by Samsung that come included on the unlocked Samsung phones that Google does not have an equivalent app for. Out of the 8 apps that Samsung provides that Google does not, there are only 3 that you cannot get rid of. The rest you can uninstall if you don't want it. The Play Store is a special case, because obviously an Android phone can't function very well without the Play Store. Facebook is really the only one that's extraneously added that people may or may not want that you can't get rid of, but you can disable. Let's look at the ones that are provided by Samsung that Google does not have an equivalent to. The first one being Galaxy Apps. This is the application that the updates for the Samsung launcher, and messages and phone and contacts, default apps that Samsung provides and makes that you can't get updates from any other place. And you can only do that through the Galaxy Apps application. Google doesn't provide a way to get those. Secure Folder is the second one. Obviously, Secure Folder creates, well, not obviously, but Secure Folder creates a secondary partition on your phone's hard drive to where you can sign in to a completely separate Gmail account that's totally segregated from the rest of the phone, including file browser and a separate gallery, its own separate camera, its own separate browser, and you can add apps to Secure Folder that do not show up on the rest of the phone. And Google does not have an equivalent service that provides that. And you don't have to use it if you don't want to, nor does it have to be on your phone if you don't want it to be. Smart Switch is the next one. Obviously, Smart Switch is the only app that Samsung provides that creates the smoothest transition experience from, say, an iPhone over to a Samsung phone, or even another Android phone over to a Samsung phone. And that's something that Google does not have a solution for, alternatively. Game Launcher is another one. Now, a lot of you may not, and probably don't, use Game Launcher. And I didn't either for a long time, but then I discovered, you know what? This allows you to lock the soft keys on the Samsung phones that don't have the capacitive buttons on the bottom, and it allows you to completely ignore, or it allows you to tell the phone to completely ignore the pressure sensitive home button so you don't accidentally hit the back button or hit the recents button or go home during an important part in the game, like PUBG, which is better than Fortnite, but that's a whole other discussion. The next one is Samsung Pay. You don't have to use Samsung Pay if you don't want to, but as I pointed out in this video, there are multiple advantages to using Samsung Pay instead of Android Pay. And Apple Pay, by the way. The last one is Samsung Plus, and that's one that allows you to access a forum of other Samsung users to answer some of your questions about how to use your phone, especially if you're transitioning from an iOS phone over to the Samsung ones, or if you're transitioning from like an LG or an HTC over to the Samsung side of things, and it's not very familiar to you. You have, off the top of my head, at least 4 different resources to draw from that will provide a lot of helpful instruction, including doing a video chat, including remote access to your phone with a Samsung helper, I guess you could say, a Samsung employee, to explain to you how to use this, that, and the other. That's something that Google does not offer. So in closing, there may be a whole lot of other apps that Samsung does not include in their phones, in their unlocked phones, but a lot of those you can get rid of or disable, and the ones that you can't, several of them provide a service that you can't get anywhere else. And you don't have to use it if you don't want to. You can also, actually something else I didn't even write notes down for, is that you can go into the device management section, or part of the settings I guess, and then tell the phone to not even run those apps when they're not open. So to answer your question, or to answer your comment I guess, yeah, there may be more apps included out of the box on unlocked Samsung phones, but it's for a reason. By the way, Jason, it's been awesome. Very much.
BeamtUp.
I greatly appreciate it.
BeamtUp. Blooper reel.
Andrew just informed me that even though he has the S9 Plus,
S9 Plus?
which is a pimp-ass phone by itself,
Love it.
What are you
Love
getting?
it.
What are you getting?
I gotta have the Note 9, man. Gotta have the Note 9.
Yeah.
Gotta have it, man.
Why?
Why? Just so my fiance can see that Apple is inferior.
Woo!
Just so she can see how inferior an Apple product is. Like, that's it. That's it. I don't want it for any other reason. That's
Dude,
it.
this guy, I like happy freaking birthday,
Hey,
man.
thank you, man.
Oh,
Thank
what
you.
a
Thank you.
amazing
Hey, subscriber right here. Subscriber right here, man. Die-hard subscriber. Die hard.
As of midnight, and
I thought it was official.
what time is it?
One.
It's 1:09. So
One.
as of an hour ago, this guy is 28, just like me.
God.
So happy birthday!
Yep. Thank you. 28 Club. 28 Club. Yeah. 28 Club.
Now a quick appreciation for the Scotties on Patreon. Those are Unit Omega, Anthony Jackson, Christopher Caswell, Sin O, Eric Price, Josh Utley, Kyler, Spidget, Nick Hawks, Stephen Nichols, and Stuart Glover.
I stay with my Scotties. My Scotties are my boys. I ride with them. And I put that on the generation.
Next, there's the Beamers, the ones that pay $1 to $2 a month, and those are David Larson, Excelsior, and Encrypted Bunny. Stay beaming.
Samsung has a lot of bloatware, like double as many apps. There goes Rob at his motorcycle. That's better. Okay, you know what? You see that red dot?
Yep.
Cool. Am I in focus or am I blurry?
No, you're focused.
Sweet. Awesome. 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, hold on. 3 preload apps required. Excuse me. I think that's almost it. Are we? Am I blur? Am I still focused, Jason? Sweet. But
Behind the scenes, what's up, Taylor?
and I noticed that after he came in and we can cut this out. I just lost my train of thought.
You're good.
So what do you say?
No,
What
no,
did you
sorry.
say? Dude, thank you. This turned into like some amazing shit. Right?
I'm 28.
Okay, is everybody in the shot?
Yeah.
Is everybody in the shot?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, cool.
And now a quick appreciation for the Scotties. The